Let me start with a confession. We doctors don't tell you everything, not because we're hiding secrets, but because modern medicine has become so focused on treating disease that we often forget how to promote health. Now let's talk about something that's been hiding in your kitchen cabinet for centuries: turmeric. You've probably seen it in curry, maybe even in a latte on Instagram. But when you combine turmeric with something as simple as warm water and take it at night, something remarkable happens inside your body. This isn't some trendy detox myth. This is biochemistry. The curcumin in turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and metabolic effects that modern science is only beginning to validate. And the best part? No prescription needed. So tonight, before you scroll through your phone one last time, consider this small ritual. A glass of turmeric water. Let's look at what it actually does and why you'll never hear most doctors talk about it. Let's talk about inflammation. Not the kind you get when you scrape your knee, but the kind that simmers under the surface, quietly eroding your health one cell at a time. Chronic inflammation is the slow burn behind almost every modern disease: diabetes, heart disease, Alzheimer's, even depression. It's the body's alarm system stuck in the on position. And here's the twist: most of us don't even know it's happening. We've been conditioned to think that feeling tired, achy, or foggy is normal. It's not. It's inflammation talking. Now, here's where turmeric steps in like a biochemical firefighter. The golden pigment in turmeric, called curcumin, isn't just a spice, it's a molecular regulator. It has the uncanny ability to dial down the body's inflammatory response without shutting it off completely. Unlike most pharmaceutical anti-inflammatories, which act like a sledgehammer, curcumin is more of a whisper. It tells your cells to calm down, not to stop functioning. So how does this work? Inflammation is orchestrated by a set of signaling molecules: cytokines, prostaglandins, and transcription factors like NF-κB. When the body perceives a threat from processed food, stress, or pollution, NF-κB jumps into action, flipping on hundreds of genes that promote inflammation. That's helpful if you've just been bitten by a snake. Not so helpful if your biggest daily battle is sitting in traffic and eating too much sugar. Curcumin intervenes right at this molecular switch. It inhibits NF-κB activation, effectively silencing that inflammatory on button. It's like pulling the plug on the alarm without burning down the house. Now, why take turmeric water at night? Because your body's repair mechanisms are most active while you sleep. Nighttime is when inflammation can either escalate or subside. By giving your system a dose of curcumin before bed, you're essentially supporting the body's natural anti-inflammatory rhythm. The curcumin works quietly in the background, reducing oxidative stress, neutralizing free radicals, and supporting cellular recovery while you rest. Think of it as giving your immune system a night shift assistant. Let's be clear, this isn't about detox in the Instagram sense. It's about biochemistry. Your liver, your mitochondria, your immune cells, they're all working hard while you sleep. Chronic inflammation makes their job harder. Curcumin makes it easier. In studies, curcumin has been shown to reduce levels of inflammatory markers like CRP, C-reactive protein, and IL-6. That's not placebo, that's data. And while most anti-inflammatory drugs carry side effects, ulcers, kidney strain, elevated blood pressure, curcumin's side effects are more like your skin looks better and you feel less bloated. But there's a catch: turmeric on its own is poorly absorbed. You could drink a gallon of turmeric water and only get a small fraction of the curcumin into your bloodstream. The trick is bioavailability. Pairing turmeric with a pinch of black pepper, which contains piperine, boosts absorption by up to 2,000%. A little healthy fat, like a drop of coconut oil, can also help. So when I say turmeric water, I'm not talking about sprinkling powder in a cold glass and hoping for magic. I'm talking about a warm, deliberate preparation: half a teaspoon of turmeric, a pinch of black pepper, maybe a hint of lemon, sipped slowly before bed. Now, let's zoom out. Why is inflammation so rampant today? It's our lifestyle, Too much sugar, too little fiber, chronic stress, poor sleep, all of it keeps NF-B running full throttle. Our ancestors didn't deal with this kind of constant inflammatory trigger. Their bodies were designed for short bursts of stress, a hunt, a storm, a sprint. Today, our stress is 24/7, notifications, deadlines, processed foods, blue light. The modern world is an inflammation factory. Turmeric isn't a cure-all, but it's a potent counterbalance, a natural modulator in an age of metabolic chaos. When you drink turmeric water at night, you're doing more than reducing inflammation. You're telling your body, I'm on your side. You're choosing to end the day with something restorative, not destructive. Over time, that small ritual, that quiet golden cup, can lower the background noise of inflammation that's been sabotaging your metabolism, your mood, and even your sleep. I often say food is not just calories, it's information. Turmeric sends your cells the right message, one that says heal. And if we want to reclaim our health from chronic inflammation, that's a message worth sending every single night. Let's talk about your liver, the hardest working, most underappreciated organ in your body. It doesn't get the spotlight like your heart or brain, but make no mistake, without your liver, none of the rest of you functions. It's your biochemical command center. Every molecule of food, drink, medicine, or toxin that enters your system has to go through it. It filters, processes, converts, stores, and detoxifies. In short, your liver is the reason you're not dead by breakfast. But here's the problem. We live in a world that's absolutely punishing to the liver. Ultra-processed foods, sugar, alcohol, medications, environmental toxins. Your liver is under siege 24/7. We've turned it into a biochemical garbage dump, and yet we expect it to keep working flawlessly. Eventually, the system gets sluggish. Fat starts building up. Enzymes go haywire. Detoxification slows to a crawl. That's when inflammation sets in and the vicious cycle begins. Now, where does turmeric come in? The active compound in turmeric, curcumin, acts like a liver whisperer. It doesn't detox in the trendy juice cleanse sense. It enhances the liver's own detoxification machinery. And here's the key. Your liver doesn't detox in one step. It works in two precise biochemical stages, phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification. In phase I, your liver enzymes, primarily cytochrome P450 enzymes, take toxins and make them more chemically reactive. That's the dangerous stage, because these intermediate compounds can be even more toxic than the originals. That's where phase 2 comes in. Phase 2 enzymes, things like glutathione S transferase, take those reactive molecules and bind them to something safe, like glutathione sulfate or glycine, so they can be excreted through bile or urine. Curcumin supports both stages. It helps balance phase I, preventing it from going into overdrive, and ramps up phase 2. That means fewer toxic intermediates floating around, fewer oxidative radicals, and more efficient elimination. Think of it as giving your liver's detox team better tools and a smarter workflow. Now, why take turmeric water at night? Because that's when your liver does its housekeeping. While you sleep, your body shifts from active mode to repair mode. Hormones like melatonin rise, cortisol drops, and your liver starts clearing out the day's chemical clutter, metabolizing fats, hormones, and toxins. Curcumin acts as a gentle nudge, supporting these processes when your liver is already primed for action. You're not forcing it to work, you're giving it an ally. There's also a growing body of research showing that curcumin can protect the liver from damage caused by fatty liver disease, alcohol, and even certain medications. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, NFLD, something I've talked about extensively, is now the most common liver disorder worldwide. It's driven not by alcohol but by sugar, particularly fructose. Fructose overloads the liver's metabolic machinery, turning into fat and triggering inflammation. Curcumin helps counter this process by reducing oxidative stress, inhibiting fat accumulation, and improving insulin sensitivity. It's like giving your liver a break from the metabolic chaos we've inflicted on it. Let's make this practical. When you drink turmeric water before bed, you're creating a simple but meaningful metabolic intervention. The warm water aids digestion and circulation, helping your body transition into rest and repair mode. The curcumin, absorbed with a pinch of black pepper and a touch of healthy fat, enters your bloodstream and starts modulating liver enzymes, supporting glutathione production and reducing lipid peroxidation, the process that literally rusts your liver from the inside out. You might not feel it working. There's no fireworks, no instant glow, but biochemistry doesn't need to be dramatic to be effective. Over time, you'll notice subtle shifts, better digestion, clearer skin, less bloating, more stable energy, maybe even a little less brain fog in the morning. That's your liver finally catching its breath. We've been sold this idea that health comes in a prescription bottle, but the truth is your body already has the tools, it just needs the right support. The liver is the ultimate example. It regenerates itself, it adapts, it protects you daily. All it asks is that you stop overloading it and start feeding it compounds that help it do its job. Turmeric is one of those compounds, ancient, accessible, and astonishingly effective. When you give your liver turmeric water at night, you're saying, I respect the work you're doing. You're aligning your habits with your biology instead of fighting it. And that's the real detox, not starvation or supplements, but supporting the body's own elegant systems. So yes, turmeric water won't erase the effects of junk food or a bottle of wine, but it's a step toward balance. It's a small nightly ritual that honors one of your most vital organs, the quiet hero, keeping your metabolism, your energy, and your life in harmony. And in a world that constantly assaults our biology, that's a ritual worth keeping. Let's start with an uncomfortable truth. Your gut is in trouble, not just yours, everyone's. The modern diet, laced with processed foods, artificial additives, and industrial oils, has turned our digestive systems into war zones. The gut, which once functioned as a finely tuned ecosystem, now resembles a city after a riot, inflamed, imbalanced, and overrun with the wrong bacteria. We've spent decades feeding our microbiome junk, and now we're paying the price: bloating, reflux, irritable bowel syndrome, brain fog, even mood swings. It all starts in the gut. Now, here's where turmeric water enters the scene, not as a miracle, but as a metabolic reset button. Turmeric, or more precisely, curcumin, has a profound impact on the gastrointestinal system. It's anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, and even prebiotic, meaning it helps feed the good bacteria that keep your digestive system balanced. And when you take it at night, you're giving your gut the support it needs during its prime repair hours. You see, digestion doesn't stop when you go to sleep. The body continues to process, detoxify, and repair the gastrointestinal lining. Nighttime is when the gut restores its integrity, when the epithelial cells renew, mucus is secreted, and the microbiome rebalances. But if your gut is chronically inflamed, this repair process gets interrupted. The result? Leaky gut, where microscopic gaps form in your intestinal wall, allowing toxins and undigested food particles to leak into your bloodstream. That triggers immune reactions and, you guessed it, more inflammation. Curcumin helps stop this cascade at its source. It downregulates inflammatory pathways like NF-κB and COX-2 within the intestinal cells, reducing the swelling and irritation that make digestion uncomfortable. At the same time, it promotes the production of tight junction proteins, the molecular gatekeepers that seal your gut lining. Think of curcumin as a construction foreman telling your intestinal cells, let's tighten up this wall and stop the leaks. But it doesn't stop there. Turmeric stimulates bile production in the liver and gallbladder, a critical step for digesting fats and fat-soluble nutrients like vitamins A, D, E, and K. Most people with sluggish digestion have compromised bile flow. Without enough bile, fats go undigested. causing bloating, gas, and nutrient deficiencies. A warm glass of turmeric water before bed, or even better, 30 minutes after dinner, helps kickstart that process. The gentle heat of the water soothes the stomach muscles, while the curcumin signals your liver to release bile. The result? A smoother digestive flow and a happier gut in the morning. And let's talk about your microbiome, that vibrant colony of trillions of bacteria living inside you. It's not an accident that your gut bacteria determine so much of your health. They help regulate metabolism, immunity, even mood and cognition. But when the wrong bacteria take over, the ones that thrive on sugar and processed foods, things go south. Studies show curcumin has a selective effect on the microbiome. It suppresses the growth of harmful bacteria like H. pylori and Clostridium difficile, while promoting beneficial strains like bifidobacteria and lactobacillus. In other words, it's a microbiome modulator, not a bulldozer like antibiotics, but a gardener that prunes and nourishes the right species. Now I know what some of you are thinking. I've tried every probiotic on the shelf and nothing worked. That's because probiotics are like planting seeds in poor soil. If your gut lining is inflamed and your diet is toxic, no amount of good bacteria will take root. Turmeric addresses the soil first. It restores balance, reduces inflammation, and creates an environment where good bacteria can flourish naturally. Another often overlooked benefit: turmeric influences the gut-brain axis, the communication superhighway between your intestines and your brain. Ever notice how stress wrecks your digestion? That's the gut-brain axis in action. Curcumin's anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects extend to the vagus nerve, calming both the gut and the mind. A relaxed nervous system means better digestion, less cramping, and fewer midnight trips to the bathroom. Now, let's put this into perspective. We live in an era where digestive distress is normalized. People pop antacids like candy, thinking it's solving the problem. But when you suppress stomach acid, you're actually impairing digestion further. You're preventing your body from breaking down proteins and absorbing minerals, turmeric water. In contrast, doesn't suppress, it supports. It encourages natural acid balance, stimulates bile flow, and improves peristalsis, the rhythmic contractions that move food through your intestines. So when you sip turmeric water at night, you're not just easing digestion, you're recalibrating the entire digestive ecosystem. You're allowing your body to absorb nutrients more efficiently, repair its gut lining, and foster a microbiome that works with you, not against you. Here's the takeaway. Gut health isn't about quick fixes or supplements, it's about harmony. It's about giving your body what it recognizes as nourishment. Turmeric has been part of that language for thousands of years, long before we had digestive enzymes and fiber powders. When taken thoughtfully in warm water with a touch of black pepper, it becomes a nightly message to your gut: heal, rebuild, restore. That's not just good digestion, that's metabolic intelligence. And if you want to age well, think clearly, and live fully, it all begins in the gut. Turmeric water isn't a fad, it's a return to biological wisdom. Let's get something straight. Metabolism isn't just about how fast you burn calories. It's about how efficiently your body manages energy. Every time you eat, your body makes a decision: do I burn this fuel now or do I store it for later? That decision depends on one molecule more than any other: insulin. And insulin, my friends, is both the hero and the villain of modern health. When insulin is doing its job right, glucose moves smoothly from your blood into your cells, providing clean energy. But when insulin signaling goes wrong, and it often does thanks to our sugar-saturated diet, glucose builds up in the bloodstream and your cells start to resist the signal. That's insulin resistance. The first step toward metabolic syndrome, diabetes, obesity, and a host of other chronic diseases that medicine tries to patch up instead of preventing. Now, here's where turmeric water enters the story. The active compound curcumin has a remarkable ability to regulate insulin sensitivity and stabilize blood sugar naturally. It doesn't act like a drug forcing insulin to work harder. It helps your cells listen to insulin again. That's a big difference. Instead of pushing the system, it restores balance. Let's dig into the biochemistry for a moment. Insulin resistance happens when chronic inflammation and oxidative stress damage the insulin receptor, that little molecular ear that listens for insulin's signal. The more inflamed your body becomes, the more deaf those receptors get. Curcumin tackles this at the root. It reduces inflammatory cytokines like TNF-alpha and IL-6, quieting the noise that drowns out insulin's message. It also activates AMP-activated protein kinase, AMPK, the same metabolic master switch triggered by exercise and fasting. When AMPK is activated, your body starts burning fat for fuel instead of hoarding it. That's real metabolic intelligence, not a fad diet, but cellular efficiency. So why drink turmeric water at night? Because your metabolic system doesn't sleep when you do. It recalibrates. Your liver processes glucose, your pancreas regulates insulin, and your fat cells communicate with your brain. Curcumin supports this nighttime metabolic harmony. It keeps your blood sugar stable while you sleep, preventing those overnight spikes and crashes that make you wake up groggy, hungry, or craving something sweet before breakfast. One of the sneakiest ways we damage our metabolism is through chronic, low-grade sugar exposure. The late-night snack, the soda, the healthy granola bar loaded with fructose. Over time, this constant sugar drip overwhelms the liver, turning glucose into fat and creating fatty liver disease. That's the same pathway that leads to insulin resistance. Curcumin helps reverse it. Studies show it can decrease fat accumulation in the liver, improve insulin sensitivity, and lower fasting blood glucose levels, all without the side effects of medications. Here's a fascinating detail. Curcumin also improves the function of beta cells in the pancreas, the very cells that produce insulin. These cells are delicate. They don't like oxidative stress. When they're inflamed, they lose their ability to release insulin properly. Curcumin acts as a shield, reducing oxidative damage and preserving their function. It's like giving your pancreas a night off from the metabolic chaos. And we can't talk about metabolism without talking about fat, the misunderstood villain. Not all fat is created equal. The fat under your skin isn't the main problem. It's the visceral fat around your organs that drives insulin resistance. That fat isn't just storage. It's metabolically active tissue, releasing inflammatory molecules that interfere with insulin. Curcumin helps reduce this inflammation, making fat cells less hostile and more metabolically responsive. In plain English, it helps your body stop fighting itself. Let's make this practical. A warm glass of turmeric water before bed, especially if you've had a carb-heavy dinner, helps your system process glucose more efficiently. The curcumin works with your liver enzymes to break down sugars and fats, while the anti-inflammatory effects calm your metabolic storm. Pair it with a small pinch of black pepper, which contains piperine to increase absorption, and you've turned a simple kitchen spice into a powerful metabolic tool. Now, don't get me wrong, turmeric water won't fix a diet full of junk food and soda, but it will make your body more resilient, more responsive, more in tune with its natural metabolic rhythm. It's not about hacks, it's about alignment, aligning your habits with how your body actually works. Here's what I tell my patients. If you stabilize your insulin, you stabilize everything. Energy, mood, focus, appetite. It all comes back to insulin control, and curcumin helps you get there, not by overriding the system, but by supporting it. It doesn't fight your biology, it teaches it to remember what balance feels like. So yes, that simple ritual of sipping turmeric water at night is more than just an old Ayurvedic tradition. It's a biochemical reset. It's your way of telling your body, let's start tomorrow with a clean slate. You're calming inflammation, protecting your liver, preserving your insulin sensitivity, and allowing your metabolism to work the way nature intended. In the end, health isn't about what you take, it's about what you stop doing to interfere with your body's wisdom. Turmeric doesn't perform magic, it simply restores communication between your cells and your hormones. And in a world where metabolic dysfunction has become the norm, that restoration might just be the most powerful medicine of all. Let's start with a truth. Most people don't realize your sleep is not a passive state. It's not just about closing your eyes and recharging like a phone. It's an active, dynamic process during which your body performs maintenance on every system you own. Your brain clears toxins, your cells repair DNA, your hormones rebalance, and your liver detoxifies. Sleep is the body's nightly reboot. But here's the catch. In our modern, over-caffeinated, over-connected world, most of us don't actually sleep anymore. We just pass out from exhaustion. There's a difference. Now let's connect this to stress. Chronic stress is like leaving your engine running all night. Eventually it burns out the system. Your body's main stress hormone, cortisol, should rise in the morning to wake you up and fall at night to let you rest. But today, cortisol is on a 24-hour work schedule. It never clocks out. Screens, deadlines, sugar, emotional chaos, they all keep cortisol elevated, hijacking your circadian rhythm. The result? You toss and turn, wake up wired, or crash only to wake up again at 3 a.m. Sound familiar? This is where turmeric water steps in. Again, not as a miracle cure, but as a molecular ally. Curcumin, the active ingredient in turmeric, has profound effects on the body's stress and sleep systems. It interacts with the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal HPA axis, the command center that regulates cortisol and the stress response. When the HPA axis is overactive, your body's fight or flight mode stays on even when there's no tiger in the room. Curcumin helps bring it back to rest and digest. How does it do that? Through anti-inflammatory and antioxidant signaling. Remember, chronic stress and inflammation are two sides of the same coin. When one goes up, so does the other. Curcumin inhibits inflammatory molecules like NF-θB and TNF-alpha, reducing the internal noise that keeps the stress system activated. By calming inflammation, curcumin indirectly tells the brain, you're safe, you can rest now. That's not woo-woo. That's neurochemistry. There's another player in this equation, serotonin, your mood stabilizer, your calm chemical. Serotonin is mostly made in the gut, and it's the precursor to melatonin, the hormone that tells your body when it's time to sleep. If your gut is inflamed or your diet is trash, serotonin production drops, and so does melatonin. Curcumin boosts both. It increases serotonin synthesis and helps regulate the enzymes that convert it into melatonin. So when you drink turmeric water at night, you're not just soothing your digestion, you're setting the stage for better sleep through hormonal harmony. And here's something fascinating. Curcumin has been shown in multiple studies to cross the blood-brain barrier, where it influences neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin directly. That's why people often report feeling calmer, more centered, even slightly uplifted after consistent turmeric use. It's not just placebo, it's neurochemical rebalancing. Let's talk about the physical side of sleep for a moment. Inflammation and oxidative stress are silent sleep killers. They cause pain, stiffness, and subtle physiological agitation that make it harder to relax. Ever notice how much better you sleep when your body feels lighter? That's not coincidence. Turmeric's anti-inflammatory action reduces muscle tension and joint discomfort, allowing your body to sink into deep restorative rest. And because it helps regulate blood sugar, as we discussed earlier, you're also less likely to wake up in the middle of the night from a glucose crash, which is one of the most common causes of interrupted sleep. Now you might wonder why turmeric water and not just a supplement, because ritual matters. The act of sipping something warm before bed tells your nervous system that it's time to wind down. It's like a signal to your vagus nerve, the communication line between your gut and brain, that says, we're safe, we can power down now.